Good day, ladies and gentlemen, grade 12 EGD learners, parents and guardians. Welcome to our Term 2 exam preparation session or guidance session, and we do hope that this session will be of assistance in making sure the grade 12s are prepared for the June exams. Please note this is only for the June examinations. The first thing is that we need to look at is what are we doing specifically today? What are we focusing on? So we are focusing specifically on the overview of Term 1 and 2, what was done in Term 1 and 2, where to find the info of 1 and 2, Term 1 and 2. Then we're going to specifically look at the exam format, including the type of questions that you'll find, and then we'll focus on how to answer different types of questions. And lastly, but not the last but not the least, the OLP and where to find valuable information there as well. So the first thing that we need to focus on is what did we do in Term 1? And I specifically want to focus on the first topic referring to the revision of general drawing principles, techniques, scales and freehand drawings. This is a very important chapter that you'll find only in the study guide in chapter 1, page 2, and then chapter 1, page 5 to chapter 1, page 10. So that's very important to go and do revision on those works, those topics. Even though you know this already, it's always good just to make sure that you do not miss something that you might have done in grade 10 and 11 and that you might have forgotten about. And in this case also, I always advise if learners can actually go back and use their grade 10 and 11 study guides as well in preparation. It's always a good thing, especially with revision. But then you'll see that we focused on mechanical drawings, assemblies, mechanical drawings, analytical questions. And you'll see these pages, even though it's not in the order that most people will follow, according to the department, according to examining body, we focus first on the mechanical drawings and then the analytical drawings. But you can do it any other way. There's no specific format to that. It's just very important that you should have completed mechanical drawings, assemblies, analytical. You'll find that in the workbook, and you'll see where you would have found it in the study guide, both chapter 2 as those are mechanical drawings. Then we moved to civil drawings and civil drawings analytical. In this case, we focus specifically on chapter 3, and then with the analytical questions, especially as those are referring to site plans, we focus there on page 10 to 12 of chapter 3. Last but not least, we also focus on two-point perspective drawings, and we would have found that on page or chapter 4 for two-point perspective drawings. The next part is term 2, and what we needed to complete for this term. That would have been the isometric drawings that we would have found on chapter 5, solid geometry drawings on chapter 6, and then interpenetrations and developments on chapter 5, as well as parts of that will be in chapter 8, especially chapter 8 focusing on the developments part of that topic. So that was the work done in term 1 and 2. So because of that, we know exactly what are we or what do we need to prepare for exams. You'll see we have the exam format here, and this is specifically and only for the June examinations. We need to always remember there are always two papers. There's a paper 1, your civil drawings, and paper 2, your mechanical drawings. We know that when we refer to paper 1, all the questions from question 1 to 4 will always be regarding civil drawings, and paper 2 will always be mechanical drawings. And then paper 1 will always refer and use first angle orthographic projection as its principle, as well as mechanical drawings always third angle, though it also depends on what the question states. But usually we know civil drawings, paper 1, first angle orthographic projection, and paper 2, mechanical drawings, third angle orthographic projection. Both 3 hours in length, both a total of 200. Both of them have 4 questions. So let's look a bit, or look into a bit more into depth into the two question papers. So, question one is a civil analytical question. You need to remember, you need to manage this as you would have done with any question paper where you have received information and you need to just interpret that information, be able to answer this. Especially in this case with the civil analytical, we focus on the site plan, and it's so important that we need to remember that we need to make sure we understand what are the different symbols and acronyms here, and also how to interpret my drawing and my title strip, or my civil title strip that's given to me here, so that I make sure that I understand the drawing and actually just answer out of that info. Remember, we want you to show us that you are able to actually take this civil drawing and interpret that information and then answer the questions that follow. We always will receive a question referring to also our different calculations, making sure that you understand how to work out your parameters as well as your area. Okay. So the next question on paper 2 is question 2. In this case, you will see according to the format that we have two options. We have the solid geometry drawings, that's on the left here, and the interpenetration and development drawings on the right. Those are the two options that we have. Now, they can be asked together. So we could have, like, for example, question 2.1 and 2.2. Or they can be, or you will only get a solid geometry drawing, or only interpenetration and development drawing. So you can be asked both, or just one of the two given drawings in question 2. Question 3 focuses on our 2-point perspective drawings, and our 2-point perspective drawings, especially the new part to the 2-point perspective drawings that we've done this year, and that is the 2-point perspective circle and the construction of it, including also using our ground lines, height lines, or our picture planes to make sure that we have the page correctly set up onto our drawing boards, and that these lines are parallel to our T-square or our movable ruler. Then we'll move over to question 4. That will always be our civil question. This is also the question that takes the majority of the marks for paper 1. And the civil drawing, you'll have a floor plan, an elevation with especially the roof construction, and then also our section view. Just remember, the section view is usually drawn on a bigger scale, and making sure that we understand what is expected of us. That they ask us to make sure to complete the floor plan. We need to make sure that we are able to show all the different features on the drawings, especially on the west elevation, and you'll see specifically with the last part of the question, on a scale of 1 to 20, a detailed section. Using, again, also the first angle orthographic principle to help us to successfully complete the question. Knowing our symbols, knowing our different sanitary fixtures, as well as our electrical fixtures, and making sure that we're able to label all the information correctly, including hatching detail. For question 1, paper 2, the mechanical paper, in this case we are going to have an analytical question again, a mechanical analytical question in this case. And this question refers specifically to mechanical drawings. This includes welding symbols that you need to know, machining symbols and being able to interpret them correctly, as well as again showing us, are you able to comprehend what is given to you in this question. Analytical questions is almost like a comprehension test or comprehension question that you'll find in language subjects. In this case, it's just showing us, can you comprehend and understand and interpret mechanical drawings and be able to answer that. Don't forget, they love to ask always your third angle orthographic projection symbol. Make sure that you're able to know that, as well as all the different drawing conventions of the different symbols of the different parts in mechanical drawings. available in your study guide as well as in the chapter pages of your workbook. The next part will be question 2. And question 2 and 3, only in this case, as question 2 focuses on work that we're only going to do in term 3, we will then use question 2 and ask another isometric drawing. So you will have question 2 and 3, both of them asking an isometric drawing, though we know always at the end of the year that question 3 will be the isometric drawing. So in this case, 2 isometric drawings on paper 2, question 2 and 3, and again making sure that we understand and being able to interpret our third angle orthographic projection, knowing what is our front views, our top views, our left views, or our right views, depending on the question. Noting where our lowest positions are of the drawings, in this case point S as it shows on the drawing, and being able to start off the drawing correctly. Question 4 is our assembly drawing. Now, assembly drawing is we will receive different parts of a mechanical drawing, a mechanical part, and we will receive it as given to us here as an exploded view, with which side is our front view. And in this case, what is important, ladies and gentlemen, is you need to just remember that you need to able then to take that and compile that or assemble together as one drawing. Remembering again or reminding yourself what the different formulas are or calculations are for our nuts and our bolts and our screw threads and so forth. Very important, ladies and gentlemen. As well as being able to hatch all the different parts correctly and being able to use our drawing techniques that we have done over the last 3 years and use that to complete question 4 successfully. Okay, they also focus is on certain views. So you'll also, again, using third angle orthographic projection, focus on, in this case, in this question, they focus on half sectional front view, but this could be a full sectional right view, left view, top view as well. So they will ask you different views. Some of them you'll section, you'll cut. Some of them you won't section. And those then you're going to draw as a full drawing. Usually that will be the view that will assist you in completing your sectional front view. In this case, it would be your top view. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's focus on how to answer different types of questions. And then making sure that we know how to draw different engineering, graphics, and design tasks or drawings correctly. The following tips are quite important. Drawings must be practiced over and over. Good practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the easier it will become, ladies and gentlemen. I always say it's just like you would ride a bicycle. The more you would do it, the better you would become with it. And that's the same for EGD. Don't only just draw the task that you are expected to draw in your workbook. Make sure that you complete every chapter, as well as making sure in this case you also use the drawings in your tasks, the tasks that are in your study guide as extra practice and preparation, as well as using all your previous all tests and examinations to practice and to prepare. Make sure of all the topics. That's why the first thing we did today is making sure we looked at what was the overview of term 1's work and term 2's work, so that I know what I need to prepare for the examination in this case. It is important to review prior knowledge on any given topic before starting a new task on the same topic. So again, go and refer back. What did I do in grade 11? What did I do in grade 10? Maybe I missed something. Maybe I got a bit rusty. And I need to make sure that I'm able to go back to those prior knowledge, because that will help me to then complete my grade 12 year, or in this case, my June exam successfully. All drawing instruments must be clean before the start of any task. In this case, it must always be clean with any drawing that you do, ladies and gentlemen. But also making sure it's not only just clean, but that you also have backup. You know you need spare leads. You might need to make sure there's certain drawing equipment, especially drawing equipment that you know that you use always in your in answering your different drawings or topics that you use, that if something happens to it, you have backup as well. I wouldn't say you need to have a backup for everything, but you know which type of instruments you need to make sure you have backups on as well, including making sure that your compass lead is sharp as possible and stays as sharp as possible as you complete your question paper. One very important thing, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people say it's quite of a cliche, but it's something that we realize as educators, learners still miss quite a lot. And that is read all the instructions thoroughly. Go and use a highlighter. Go and use colored pens. Make sure that even before you start thinking of drawing the question or answering the question in this case, making sure that you understand what is asked of you, what are you going to get marks for, and making sure that you are then prepared to only then start with your drawing. It really makes a difference. Also, please ensure to print your full name or student number in blue ballpoint pen using on all your drawing sheets, whether it is a practice drawing, especially with exams, ladies and gentlemen. On your instruction page, you need to make sure that you add your student number and your name and surname. But on every single page on your title strip on the left bottom corner, there is space for your name. Make sure that you add it there and your student number. Also try to do it in print. We need to make also sure that we do it neat as possible and try to use your EGD letters and numbers and the rules of them to make sure that you also help you to practice and make sure that you always remind yourself how to actually print the correct EGD letters or numbers. Drawing sheets must be positioned correctly. We actually spoke about that a bit earlier, but it's very important to use my T-square or my movable ruler and use any horizontal line on the drawing sheet, especially with two-point perspective drawings that they actually give you inside of the drawing horizontal lines that you can use as a reference when positioning the drawing sheet on your drawing board, so that you make sure that you actually position it correctly. By doing that, you need to that will help you to make sure that you don't get drawings that is skew at the end or that is not 100% answered correctly. So positioning the drawing and the drawing sheet first is so important. Using the T-square parallel with the horizontal line helps with that. And then yes, we have cloths on most of our drawing boards, but sometimes there's corners that we'll need to use a bit of masking tape to make sure that our paper do not move at all. All drawings must be drawn with the correct instruments, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it's very important to make sure that you have all your drawing equipment ready and that you use the right equipment for the right drawing technique. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the next part is making sure that it is so important to make sure that not only are your drawings neatly completed, but making sure that you use the correct line types. Making sure that we can identify between your construction lines or your final outlines and so forth. By following and learning and practicing the different techniques, you actually already are learning how to use the correct South African National Standard codes. Thus, you're actually already applying them. But you need to make sure that you remember how to do that correctly. Okay. When starting or placing, and this is a very important one, NB. When starting or placing the drawing incorrectly in a test. Now, let's say, for example, your drawing sheet is a bit skewed. Or you started with your drawing, or you placed your drawing in the incorrect place on your drawing sheet. And only as you get to the end of that question, you now have a problem because now you're running out of space. You need to do the following. So you should continue with the drawing and if necessary, draw over the question. Now, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we want you to make sure that you stay inside of that frame and title strip. But we also are aware of the time constraints that we have, that it's limited. We have a limited time to complete a question. So then if you need to, then draw over the questions or the given drawings or the frame if you need to complete the drawing successfully. rather than rubbing everything out, doing it over and running out of time. But please make sure to practice your starting position, so making sure that you start correctly, then this issue would not happen at all. Scales should be used as indicator for each question. So make sure that you read in your questions and make sure that you are attentive to this and making sure that you understand, okay, what is the scale that I need to use in this? Is it a reduced scale? Is it an enlarged scale? How do I work that out if my scale ruler does not have that specific scale? Knowing how to reduce or enlarge a scale. But if no scale is given to you, then you always know it's a scale of 1 to 1. Very important point also is never erase any construction lines, ladies and gentlemen. Erasing instruction lines, you're throwing away lines or marks that you would have obtained. Make sure it's light as possible. I always say to my learners, keep it at arm's length, your drawing board, and that should give you an idea that if I keep it at arm's length, I'm not able to see that construction lines. Only moving closer, I'm able to see that. But don't rub it out, because we are getting marks for that. So making sure that also shows the marker what was your different techniques that you used to complete your drawing. So please do not rub it out. Know all your civil and mechanical theory. We spoke about it already. Know your different, your mechanical, your machining symbols, your drawing conventions for all the different parts, your different formulas and calculations for your bolts and nuts, as well as your welding symbols. With the civil drawings, making sure you know your acronyms, you know your different sanitary fixtures, all your different fixture symbols, as well as the electrical symbols and fixtures. Knowing your different hatching information and so forth. That is something you need to remember, enable for you to actually successfully complete those questions. Also, to make sure that you know how to construct the different polygons. You need to be able to construct all the polygons, ladies and gentlemen. You know there is polygons that they love to constantly use. But don't be caught out. Know how to draw a triangle, a square, a prism, a pyramid, a pentagon, a hexagon, a septagon, an octagon. Make sure to reference back to my grade 10 year, your grade 10 year, to go and make sure that you understand and being able to actually draw polygons, as you will always find them in your question papers. And that's in both question papers. Last but not least, do all hatching correctly. There's a specific type of line type that you need to follow. There's difference between the civil hatching and mechanical hatching. Know the differences. Right. A lot of info. Ladies and gentlemen, the OLP, the Optimi Learning Portal. Make the Optimi Learning Portal your starting point when you start preparing for the June exam. The easiest way to make sure you are exam ready is to work through past papers. Download these previous papers as follows. Click on your resource button on your OLP on your left hand side. Choose the subject you want to prepare for, in this case engineering, graphics and design, and then click on the previous exam papers icon. You'll see there's options between June and November. Obviously your focus is going to be on the June exam papers. But ladies and gentlemen, make sure to reference your lessons and go to your OLP under your lessons and see what's shared there with you. Also part of your preparation, your guidance sessions and so forth. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, good luck with the exam. Always, my most important advice I can give all my learners is always making sure that you stay as calm as possible and be prepared. Remember, we are here at Impact, here to support you. Please contact our info center and we'll gladly assist you where we can. Thank you.